These are some episodes where Eric Cartman uses his worst manipulations and shows that he is not only the most manipulative character in the series, but also that he always gets his way. First on the list is the time Cartman made Butters believe that a meteorite fell to Earth so he can go to Casa Bonita instead. Kyle arrives excited with the news that his mom will celebrate his birthday at Casa Bonita, and he will be able to bring 3 friends with him, and Cartman is definitely the most excited.
Dude, haven't you ever been there? It's a big Mexican restaurant, but they have like cliff jumpers and Black Bart's cave and all kinds of stuff.
His excitement is short-lived when Kyle makes it clear that there's no way he's going to invite him. Come on, Cartman, you really didn't see this coming? You insult him at least 10 times an episode, and you still want him to consider you his friend? Typical Cartman. Kyle reveals that the 3rd friend he's bringing is Butters. Just because he invited him to his birthday, and he doesn't always insult him, Cartman acts surprised about the supposed insults Kyle talks about. And that's when we get a spectacular recap of some of the times Cartman has insulted Kyle for being Jewish.
Oh yeah? Well, you're a stupid Jew. You're a Jew. I told you Jewish people don't have rhythm. Fuck off, Cartman! Okay, except maybe for that one time.
Maybe only once during the last 5-minute S, a clear example of Eric's many manipulations, distorting the facts to win an argument. But Kyle is unwavering in his decision, and will not take someone he does not consider his friend to Casa Bonita. The next morning, Cartman does his best to pretend he's a nice guy, and deserves Kyle's forgiveness, or rather, to go to Casa Bonita, which is all he really cares about.
That's not being nice. That's just putting on a nice sweater.
After making things worse instead of better, Cartman ends up knocking Jimmy down in a pathetic performance of defending Kyle's name. But that only disappoints him even more. And Cartman opts to start a better plan of manipulation. The one that actually works the best for him throughout the episodes. Emotional blackmail.
I care, sure, but I hope it doesn't mean you and me and Stan and Kenny can't hang out anymore.
I don't know whether to blame Cartman for being a complete manipulator with no feelings, or the rest of the characters for being so naive and falling for his traps again and again. Ultimately, Cartman gets what he wants, and tricks Kyle to have at least a small chance, which he's going to make the most of to go on the trip.
Hey, if for some reason Butters can't go to Casa Bonita, you can take his place.
That sentence condemns the fate of poor Butters, and Cartman puts his Machiavellian plan of manipulation into action, and takes Butters to his room to pretend that a meteorite is approaching the Earth.
What? According to my calculations, that meteor is gonna hit Earth in less than 4 hours.
It must also be accepted that Butters does not make things difficult for Cartman. His innocence is like breakfast for the monster that lives inside him. Cartman takes Butters to a bomb shelter, where he can hide until the supposed destruction of the Earth is over, and it's just that easy to remove Butters from the equation.
Just stay down here until you hear word from me. And pray, Butters. Pray for all mankind.
Butters stays locked up, believing that everyone outside is dying, while with a smile on his face, the author of the crime arrives at Kyle's house to give him his gift. And that's when, by chance, he finds out that Butters hasn't left, and Kyle lets him go to Casa Bonita instead. A plan that's absurd and functional in equal parts.
Well, I really would need to go home first and get my... Well, no, I guess I have everything I need. Okay, sure.
Cartman's efforts are about to be rewarded, and his mouth almost tastes the nachos from Casa Bonita because of how close his victory seems. Butters' parents appear crying, asking if anyone has seen their son, and Kyle feels terribly bad, which is exactly the same as Cartman feels, but for different reasons, and decides to postpone his birthday until the following week to look for his missing friend.
Yeah, I think you're right, but on the other hand, I think Butters would want us to go. You know Butters.
Manipulation doesn't work this time, and the boys, the police, and much of South Park team up to search for Butters, unaware that his kidnapper is there, infiltrated right next to them. Cartman needs Butters to stay at the shelter for another week until he goes to Casa Bonita. And of course he can't think of a better idea than to go into the shelter dressed as a post-apocalyptic zombie character to manipulate him again, so that everything goes as his plan requires. What impresses me about Cartman is how much effort he tries to manipulate with complex plans for objectives that are so, well, small.
People were crawling all over each other in the streets. It was awful. Then it hit. Millions were evaporated instantly. The rest of us walking around in a cloud of toxic radiation.
Butters unsuspectingly agrees, which is a fairly normal thing for Butters. And as the week draws to a close, the police decide they need to search deeper into out-of-the-way places like ducts, manholes, and bomb shelters. Pretty specific stuff for a police search, don't you think?
Let's move out, people. Every second counts.
Cartman uses all his resources of lies and blackmail to get Butters out, using a box as an anti-cannibal helmet, and take him to an old gas station.
I've got to fight them off! Stay away from Butters, he's humanity's last hope! He bit me! He bit off my hand!
Surprisingly, or maybe not, nothing surprises me anymore. Butters believes everything Cartman tells him, and for that reason, he ends up locked in a refrigerator with only a bag of cookies and water, making the refuge he left behind seem like paradise. When Cartman leaves, a garbage truck takes away Butters' refrigerator and it ends up in the city dump, which definitely looks like South Park destroyed by a meteorite. Butters mistakes the dump for what used to be his home and even gets a little friend to spend his lonely days in an empty land with.
Oh, it's a little dog. Well, hello there, Mr. Dog. Looks like you and me are the only ones that survived the meteor. We should stick together, huh, Mr. Dog?
The trip to Casa Bonita begins, and the most excited one in the car is Cartman, who even stops pretending to care about Kyle's birthday and shows his true intentions.
What? Fuck Kyle! Haha! Just kidding, birthday joke!
Elsewhere, poor Butters, abandoned in a dumpster, sad and without food, is found alongside Mr. Dog by a landfill worker. And unlike what he believes is his chance to repopulate the earth, she tells him the truth.
No, I mean you're at the garbage dump. Town is right over there, everybody is fine, and I think they've been looking for you for over a week.
Ma'am, can I use your phone?
Once again, Butters realizes that Cartman has manipulated him again, and that it surely won't be the last time he does it. The boys and Kyle's mom arrive at Casa Bonita, the place where Cartman put Butters' life at risk, and just when they are about to enter, but Sheila receives a call about what happened with Butters, and guess what? She also finds out that it was all an evil plan by Cartman.
Well, it appears that Eric here is responsible for Butters missing because he wanted to go to Casa Bonita.
What?
Cartman tries to escape using Kyle as a hostage, but the police arrive too soon, and Cartman only has one option: turn himself in, or go all over Casa Bonita in less than a minute while being chased by the police and the boys, which of course is the option he chooses.
Oh, awesome! Excuse me, can I just eat some of your... Thank you. Okay, gotta get back on cave!
But he ends up being cornered on the cliff, where he jumps to avoid being caught, and ends up in the water with an expression of complete satisfaction on his face.
Well, kid, you made an entire town panic, you lost all your friends, and now you're going to juvenile hall for a week. Was it worth it?
Totally. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Cartman, the manipulator. Of course, the list only goes on, and the next one is definitely one of the worst episodes of manipulation. And it is when Cartman manipulated all the adults who tried to correct his behavior. And of course, he got his way. Eric and his mother discuss with the school counselor Cartman's misbehavior toward another student who made fun of his weight. Yet another victim of picking on the wrong kid.
We have tried at this school to make Eric understand that there are boundaries, okay? But frankly, we believe his behavioral problems start at home.
Leanne confesses the truth. She doesn't even know how to control Cartman, and that the only thing the boy does is get worse. Cartman, who knows very well how to manipulate subtly, consoles his mother, explaining to her that she knows what she should do because she is the best mom in the world. And although he sings her an adorable song, we must not forget that one of the favorite tricks in Cartman's manipulation manual is emotional blackmail.
My mom's the best mom, better than your mom. Let's sing it together in harmony.
Aw, nothing more adorable than Cartman's duet with one of his victims. That's when Mackie tells Leanne that maybe she should turn to Nanny 911 and Super Nanny, the experts in fixing the behavior of unruly children. Too bad they don't know that Eric is not just a rebellious child.
Nice.
Mom, I need another energy drink!
The first victim, cough. The first to try to correct Eric's bad temper is Nanny 911, who first tries to take the Xbox away from Eric to teach him about punishments.
This video game is going right here on the counter until we've done some chores. Now, first thing we're going to do is make your bed.
That doesn't have a happy ending. and Cartman ends up spitting on the babysitter as she begins to lose her temper. And it is right there when Cartman demonstrates once again why this video is named that way. And when Stella Reed begins to use psychology on him, and everything ends up turning around on her.
Because I don't understand why you became a nanny.
Me? Well, because I love children, like you.
Right, but if you love children so much, how come you're not a mommy?
After a subtle and undeniably clever entrance, Cartman shatters Stella's self-esteem when he discovers that she's a babysitter because she can't have children. And when Cartman finds out something that makes you uncomfortable, he'll never let it go. Just ask Kyle.
Monster would...
Yes, let the anger come. Strike me down while you can. But it won't make your dried up ovaries any more fertile.
Even the most experienced British nanny on television couldn't handle Cartman. What can we expect? It's time for the second attempt, and Leanne contacts Super Nanny, who meets a much worse fate at the hands of Eric's evil mind.
From hell! It's from hell!
Well, it could have been worse. At least in the psychiatric hospital, he won't have to see Cartman's face again. Leanne decides to make one last attempt and contacts Caesar Millen, the dog whisperer, who she hopes can tame Cartman's haughty behavior, of course, completely ignoring the fact that he is supposed to be a child, a very evil child.
See, I'm not looking at the child, I'm not acknowledging the child, I'm just letting the child know I'm not interested in him.
Not interested in me.
For some reason, Caesar's techniques start working really well on Cartman. So Leanne discovers that it was all about ignoring Cartman this whole time. Of course, also helped by the fact that Leanne finally has something else to do than just please Cartman in everything he asks for.
Look, Mexican, if you really think that you
Tusk
can...
is the new sound that keeps Cartman under control, as we had never thought of before. Leanne and Caesar take Cartman for a walk, and although during the walk, the boy tries to use manipulation on Leanne, she concentrates on obeying Caesar, and the power that Cartman has over her almost completely disappears. In an attempt to regain control over his mother, Cartman plays the fake escape card, but Caesar's presence forces Leanne to stand her ground and use that time to relax and enjoy her favorite hobby. Cartman is unable to find asylum in any of his friends' houses and ends up returning resignedly with Leanne, discovering that during the time he was away, his mother was actually having a great time, and that Caesar Millen is still in the house.
What is he still doing here?
Apparently, none of the strategies work with her mother when Caesar is around, and finally Leanne manages to completely dominate Cartman, and he ends up behaving like a fearful little dog who seeks approval and obeys everything.
Eric, I want you to go upstairs and brush your teeth. Then I'll be up to read you a story before bed.
The next day, Cartman decides that he can't continue living that way, so he plans to send his mother to another world, if you know what I mean. Butters, Kyle, and Stan flatly refuse, because even for Cartman, it's a sinister plan.
Fine, I'll do it by myself.
Cartman goes to Leanne's room, but shows us that inside him, there is not only a bad side, but also, he has a side of his conscience that stops him from possibly going to jail. Who would have thought?
She isn't an object you can own, she's a human being. She isn't an object I can own, she's a human being.
Then we are shown what may be the answer to the question of why Cartman behaves the way he does. And we see how, in his internal conflict and loss of his own identity, he spits a black liquid onto the ground, where he apparently gets rid of the bad thoughts and evilness from his body. The next morning, Leanne encounters a completely different Cartman. He makes himself breakfast, and his behavior and language are completely appropriate. It seems that treating him like a dog worked.
Okay, Mom, you're embarrassing me. Jeez.
Caesar returns for one last visit, and Leanne thanks him by inviting him to see Madame Butterfly. But Caesar turns her down, because all this time they spent together was only professional, and they are not really friends. Low blow Caesar. Leanne is sad, and asks Cartman to go with her, but he also rejects her, because he has plans to study. It is then that it is revealed to us that after all, the apple does not fall far from the tree, and Leanne is possibly the master of manipulation and emotional blackmail that Cartman learned from, because in order to convince him to spend time with her, since he has no one else to spend it with, she bribes him with food and material things.
Could I perhaps have new Mega Rangers?
Or maybe,
Yes, darling.
that
You
was
can have
always
whatever you
Cartman's
want.
plan, and he manipulated the situation to get back to that point. After all, He always knew it. In the next episode, Cartman increases his ambition and wants to take his manipulation to a higher level, so he pretends to be disabled to get $1,000 as a prize. Jimmy and Timmy tell the boys that they are going to participate in the Special Olympics this year and hope they will support them. Kyle and Stan tell them that they will be there, while Cartman does not understand why everyone supports the cause.
Competition this year.
Well, all right, see you on Saturday, guys.
Dude, I can't believe they exploit handicapped people like this. I mean, making them compete against each other just for our amusement.
Sometimes Cartman's morals are so twisted that he believes everything good is bad, and as long as it's good for him, it's good. Jimmy and Timmy work out at the gym, but Jimmy doesn't see the results he expected. It is then that he is intercepted by Nathan, who offers him to become the #1 Special Olympics athlete, which of course entails the use of illicit substances.
You just take one of these little blue babies 3 times a day and inject this directly into your bloodstream twice a day before meals.
Jimmy gives him all his money and assures him that he will only use a little. Of course, everyone says the same thing. Cartman arrives excited after reading the Olympics brochure and decides to tell one of the most embarrassing plans in the series.
Dude, I was looking at the Special Olympics brochure and check this shit out. At the end of the Special Olympics, a grand champion special athlete is crowned and given a cash prize of $1,000.
Of course you know what's next. Cartman plans to pretend to be mentally handicapped and take that prize.
All I have to do is make people think I'm handicapped and I get $1,000. It won't be easy, but nothing worth having ever is.
Cartman takes the Olympic scam project very seriously and begins spending the rest of the week studying how to act disabled. Meanwhile, Jimmy hides his overuse of steroids and joins Cartman in the Olympic scam. Cartman thinks he's ready for the competition, but Kyle steps in as the voice of
4 days
reason.
away. I'm going to go sign up now.
No, you're not. I read the brochure, Cartman. If you're under 18, you have to have a parent with you to sign up for the Special Olympics.
Poor innocent Kyle still believes that Cartman can't manipulate his mother even though he's done it thousands of times throughout the series. Finally, and as predicted, Leanne gives in to Cartman's request to participate in the Olympics. Cartman 1,000, Leanne 0. Leanne ends up taking Cartman to register, but they missed a small detail about lying.
Okay, and what's his disability?
Leanne and Cartman don't know how to answer, and the volunteer decides to just leave the sheet blank, saving them from embarrassment. Timmy discovers Jimmy's steroids farce and decides to tell Mr. Mackey about it, but the latter doesn't understand anything and can't get anyone to stop one of the farces that is being committed at the event.
Right, he's Jimmy, yeah.
Kyle tries to intervene with Cartman, but once again, Cartman makes him believe that he is the one who is wrong, using an absurd but very convincing argument with the Passion of the Jew.
Finish. If you had seen The Passion, you would know that hell is reserved for the Jews and all those who don't accept Christ. That being the case, it is actually me who is worried about your soul.
Eric Cartman makes manipulating others look so easy, and he doesn't even try. The Olympics are just 1 day away, and the results of the steroids have completely changed Jimmy's physical appearance.
Come on, push it! Push it! Yeah, nice pics. Sweet buttons.
But not only his physique changed, but also his personality, and he begins to behave a little aggressively with his girlfriend.
Stay away from me, you stupid bitches!
Wow, Jimmy. In this episode, you really compete against Cartman to see who behaves worse with the people around him. Cartman 1,000, Jimmy 1. The day of the Special Olympics has arrived, and Cartman is ready to compete, even though he finishes last in every competition.
Yeah! Yeah!
Did anyone explain to him that Special Olympics is still a competition of physical skills?
All right, we did it! Yeah, guess I just had to kick ass in the other events.
Cartman's luck doesn't change, but Jimmy manages to come in first place in everything. And guess what? Jimmy takes first place in every category, while Cartman takes home the award for coming in last place in everything.
But we all know that the Special Olympics isn't just about winning, and so we will now give out the Spirit Award to the handicapped person who came in very last, Eric Cartman.
In the end, Cartman does get his way and gets a reward. Small, but a reward nonetheless. But suddenly Jimmy has a sudden attack of conscience and exposes Eric in front of everyone.
You faked being handicapped to win? I should kick your ass right here, you lousy no-good cheater!
Timmy exposes Jimmy,
Timmy.
And the episode ends with a magnificent reflection from Cartman.
Well, guys, I guess now you see what I was up to all along. I dressed up like a handicapped person and lost the Special Olympics on purpose so that Jimmy could learn his lesson about steroids.
Wow, that's cynicism. Eric Cartman has undoubtedly manipulated every character in the series for his own benefit, but he was about to do so on national television, but ended up being struck down by karma. Cartman is walking through the toy store when he comes across a boy who is constantly swearing. But instead of getting upset or scolding him, his mother treats him compassionately and explains the reason to the rest of the people.
My son Thomas has Tourette's syndrome.
Everyone seems to be very understanding with him, and Cartman finds a diamond in the rough for his own benefit.
Wait, whoa. You're telling me there's an illness that makes you blurt out obscenities?
Bad timing, wrong person. Learning about Tourette's syndrome becomes Cartman's golden ticket, and he makes the most of it.
It started about 4 days ago, Doctor, and every day he seems to get worse.
Cartman is examined by the doctor, and although he doesn't seem like a typical case of Tourette's, the doctor says that perhaps it's because not enough is known about the syndrome, so it's best to get him all the help he can get. I think someone should lose their license. Cartman plays the role of the victim and worries about what people will say at school, and the doctor opens a door that will be difficult to close.
Don't worry, young man. We'll make sure everyone understands your disease and gives you the compassion you deserve.
This is how a reign of terror begins at South Park High School. Cartman walks through the halls yelling obscenities at teachers and students without any repercussions.
Excuse me, everyone. I guess you might have noticed my awkward tics. Asshole! Pussy asshole! I just want you to know that I can't control it.
But the character most difficult for Cartman to manipulate jumps onto the scene with the truth.
He's faking.
Cartman takes Kyle aside and begins to persuade him that if he tells anyone the truth, he'll be a party pooper. But after a chaotic class with Cartman yelling profanities, Kyle goes to the principal's office, where she's meeting with a representative from the Tourette's Tolerance and Understanding Foundation.
Principal Victoria, there's something you need to know. Cartman's Tourette's isn't real. He's faking.
Kyle is not the luckiest character in the world, and because of that, the man from the foundation takes his comment as an insult, and Kyle ends up being sent to live with a group of people with Tourette's.
No!
Then if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to take this bully to see that Tourette's is very real. Pissed.
Kyle is moved by the story of all the kids with the syndrome, leading him to feel that Cartman is doing more harm than he realizes with his lie. Mr. Donaldson asks him if he is sorry for what he said earlier, and Kyle is faced with a moral dilemma as to whether to continue to maintain his stance, which is not just a stance but the truth, or to put aside what he thinks of Cartman's actions and just empathize with the kids at the foundation.
I was just trying to... Just in one instance... No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Kyle has to apologize to Cartman so as not to continue hurting more people's feelings. But Cartman just takes the moment to enjoy his victory and let loose some personal insults.
Isn't having Tourette's awesome?
Let's cross out faking a syndrome as reason number 3,288 of why Eric Cartman is going to hell. Television host Chris Henson, who dedicates his show to hunting pedophiles, receives a letter from Cartman asking him to come on his show.
Dear Mr. Hanson, I have Tourette's, and I want the world to understand what it's like. Won't you do a special report on me so that the world can learn to accept us instead of just laugh? Donkey boner!
If Eric Cartman has a chance to do something he wants, he'll milk it for all it's worth. Just ask Butters. Kyle tries to talk some sense into Cartman, but he can't, which makes me wonder why he keeps trying. Anyway, maybe he can't make Cartman a better person, but he does make him talk until he loses his filter.
There's no walls anymore! Shit! Whatever enters my brain, I can just say without thinking about it. I wet my bed last night.
And it's the beginning of Cartman's descent into lying and manipulation. At a meeting with the Tourette's Foundation, Cartman begins to reveal some private secrets that he never thought he would reveal to anyone in his worst nightmares.
I cry at night because I don't have a dad. Ah!
Cartman loses his cool and fears that his brain filter is no longer working, which could put him in a delicate position by confessing the whole truth on national television.
I mean, if somebody got used to saying whatever came to their mind, could they start saying things that they would normally never say?
I don't think that's possible. but if anyone deserves that to happen to them, it would be Cartman. Eric tries to stop the show before it starts, but Hansen is unwilling to lose his special.
Why don't you have a seat?
Cartman gets a taste of his own medicine, and Hansen explains that if he doesn't want to end up like one of the pedophiles who shot himself when they found him, then he should put on the show. You don't feel threats as well when they don't come from yourself, do you? The show is about to start, and Cartman reaches a point of desperation where it almost seems like he has a conscience.
God, please, I know I screwed up. I should have never pretended to have Tourette syndrome. But see, I get it now. You can't just walk around saying whatever you want.
Now you understand? Luckily for him, Kyle didn't give up on his idea of stopping him from the show, and together with the kid from the toy store, he came up with a complex plan so that Cartman wouldn't tarnish the name of people with Tourette's on television.
No, you were right. That fat kid is faking it. If he goes on TV, more people will think that having Tourette's is fun. Asshole shit!
The boys meet several pedophiles on the web and make them come to the stage, where they believe they have been caught by Hansen and end up shooting each other one after the other.
Now everyone's gonna know I'm a perv! Wow!
Kyle reveals to Cartman the entire plan he made to stop him, and he doesn't get what he expected from him.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Cal.
Unlike the lesson Kyle wanted to teach Cartman, it ended up saving him at the moment when he could have looked like an idiot on television. And perhaps it was the lesson he needed to stop manipulating people without thinking about the consequences. If Cartman didn't learn the lesson, it's not his fault, it was Kyle's fault.